Back like we never left, B.D.A. guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're here to talk about Big Mom and why the disrespect for Big Mom never really made any sense, and how Big Mom could possibly be the most impressive Yonko we have seen thus far. Now that could be a very jarring statement due to what we have seen from the previous Yonko, and honestly from some of the Yonko we haven't really seen anything at all. So for today we're going to go through everything Big Mom has done and what we've seen from her, and of course the other Yonko as well, and see how they stack up to Big Mom and why the disrespect and constant undermining of Big Mom never really made any sense to me. Before we get to everything Big Mom has done and what we've seen from her, let's talk about the other Yonko and everything we've seen from them and how impressive they have been when we've seen them on screen. I'm gonna go from the Yonko we've seen the least to the Yonko we've seen the most, which is obviously Big Mom, so we'll go there. I know we haven't seen a lot of these Yonko in action while being in their prime, but we're just gonna go off what we've seen so far because I think we've seen enough to come to somewhat of an assessment of what the Yonko are going to be and what we're going to see from the Yonko to come. This is not saying Big Mom is going to be the strongest Yonko at the end of it, but based on what we've seen so far, Big Mom is probably the most impressive. So the first Yonko we're going to start with today is Shanks, and Shanks is probably the most lauded Yonko. And Shanks has this huge following because Shanks is presumably the strongest Yonko. A lot of people has Shanks at the top of their list, and I might as well, but the thing is we haven't seen that much from Shanks. A lot of Shanks' feats and hype has come from perception and small tidbits here and there in the story. One of the major feats of Shanks that we use to gauge his strength is one that he was on par with Mihawk in the past, or rather Mihawk was on par with him in the past. When I say Shanks is on par with Mihawk, I use Mihawk as the barometer because Mihawk is the world's greatest swordsman. So for Shanks to be a swordsman that could battle with Mihawk with no noticeable injuries, that's pretty damn impressive. This is not to say that he's never been injured while fighting Mihawk, but we know from his interactions and conversations with Whitebeard that Mihawk has never given him any large scars. The major scar, of course, came from Blackbeard. So the major thing is fighting with Mihawk and being a part of Roger's ship. That does help, but back then he was just a cabin boy, so it's not a lot to go with Roger, but we know from Roger's intentions and Roger passing on the Straw Hat saw some potential in Shanks, so that plays along into Shanks' lore. We also can't overlook Shanks' connection with the main character because that as well plays into it, but for the most part Shanks has not done much on screen. So it's been mostly hearsay and clashes and things that have been happening in the story that has been documented. Another good moment for Shanks we presume is stopping Kaido at Marineford, and for us we presume the way he was able to do that was to offer Kaido liquor, knowing Shanks' personality and what he did to Whitebeard when he went on Whitebeard's ship. He offered Whitebeard liquor, and for Kaido being the drunk that he is, I'm sure Shanks is privy to that information, he would bring some liquor to offer Kaido to ask him to not go to Marineford. Shanks, unlike the other Yonko that we've seen so far, seems to be the most regular looking person. He is a regular sized man, and he doesn't have a devil fruit from what we know in the story. So to compete, we presume that he has the strongest haki in the series, as seen when he entered Whitebeard's ship, and his haki was able to destroy Whitebeard's ship. So for Shanks, a lot of it is based on portrayal, but based on what we've seen, it hasn't stacked up to what we've actually seen from the other Yonko. The next Yonko we're going to talk about is Kaido, and Kaido is a difficult one because we've seen bits and pieces from Kaido and it has been very impressive, but there's some things on his resume that we can look at and say, I'm not so sure. I didn't really get into it with Shanks and the things on his resume because some of it can be explained away, like the fact that the Sea King was able to take his arm. Shanks said that he was betting on the new generation, so for that we cannot hold that against him. We can, however, hold against him the Blackbeard scar. Shanks said it himself, versus Blackbeard he was on guard, so the scar that he has from Blackbeard, it was not him being off guard or Blackbeard doing something underhanded. It was Blackbeard just being simply that powerful. Actually, it could have been underhanded, but regardless, he was on guard and he was still scarred permanently by Blackbeard. That is something to keep in mind because this is pre-Yami, pre-Gura. So this is Blackbeard with strictly just haki as well with Shanks. Anyways, back to Kaido. Kaido is known as the world's strongest creature, and his most impressive feat so far is probably one-shotting Gear 4th Luffy. Now, personally, with that fight, I don't think Luffy was really prepared to go against Kaido mentally and emotionally, of course physically as well, and for Kaido, he took advantage of that by one-shotting Luffy, and there's still some mystery around Kaido's weapon, so I want to know more about that before I come to any conclusion, but that has been his greatest feat so far, especially coming off what Luffy was able to do to Katakuri. I know, I'm for one that still think Katakuri is stronger than Luffy or more powerful than Luffy, but Luffy was able to overcome him, so for right now, you have to give Luffy that W and move forward. However, Luffy being able to fight a first commander of that level to a standstill and come out with the W, and then go to Kaido and be one-shot that way way, it speaks more to Kaido's strength than Katakuri's deficiencies. Another feat of Kaido's is falling 10,000 meters from Sky Island and just basically having a slight headache. That speaks to his durability, and we've seen that again from taking a lot of Gear 4's best punches and not feeling anything or having a scratch on him. But like most people in One Piece, every character has their flaws and blemishes. Kaido, for one, has a huge scar on him. We're not sure who was able to give him that scar, but he has a huge scar, which shows that somebody was able to inflict major damage. Also, it is documented that Kaido has lost before. He's taken several losses, and that's not to say every character doesn't lose from time to time, but for Kaido, it's documented. It's a part of his lore. It's a part of his history. Being stopped by Shanks, I know it's somewhat contradictory because of what I said, Shanks, and how Shanks possibly was able to stop him, but we have to throw that in there. Of course, Shanks was able to stop him. Shanks was with his entire crew, and Kaido was more than likely alone based on what we've seen so far in the story, but these things did happen. We haven't seen a full-fledged fight from Kaido other than the Luffy thing. That has been the extent of what we've seen so far, so it's not a lot to judge him by, but based on what we've seen, I cannot say he's the most impressive Yonko so far. Next, we have Blackbeard. And now for Blackbeard, we've seen a considerable amount from Blackbeard, and Blackbeard has some great feats on his resume, but he has some blemishes as well. So personally, I think Blackbeard's best feat was the fact that he was able to scar Shanks pre-time skip, or before having a devil fruit. Pretty much all he had was Haki, and he was able to scar Shanks, who we know to be very powerful, and the Vivi cards even back up what we say as far as saying Shanks was pretty much a Yonko by time he met Luffy back then. So for Blackbeard to scar someone of that caliber, again, the exact time when he did it is not known, but he was able to scar Shanks, and that, my friends, is a huge feat. Blackbeard was also able to defeat Ace, and we know that Ace was a second commander in Whitebeard's crew, and I know a lot of people underestimate how strong Ace was because they didn't see much from Ace, but I don't think that was an easy fight for Blackbeard, and Blackbeard was able to overcome him. Of course, his devil fruit power made it a bit easier because he was a Logia, Ace was a Logia, and of course most Logias, they depend on their devil fruit, so Blackbeard took advantage of that, but taking out a second commander in the Yonko's crew, no small feat. Blackbeard also went to Marineford, was able to fight Garp and Sengoku at the same time. He was not overwhelmed by the two. He was also able to take an enraged fist from Whitebeard, got back up, and he was seemingly okay. So Blackbeard, his durability is something that is underrated. Of course, he took a full power jet pistol back then in Impel Down from Luffy because Luffy found out that he was the one who captured Ace. So for Blackbeard, he's taken a lot of punishment, but he's gotten out of it fairly okay. The major blemish for him is the fact that him and his entire crew was taken out by Magellan. But for Blackbeard, he gets caught off guard a lot. In every single fight, the other character seems to get the first hit in. But for Magellan and how potent his power is, you cannot let him overwhelm you early or it's pretty much over. But now Blackbeard, a couple years later, and having more control over his fruits, I should say, having the Yami Yami, the most powerful Logia, and the Gura Gura, the most powerful Paramecia, Blackbeard is a force to be reckoned with. But we have to see a bit more before labeling him the most impressive Yonko. Next, we have Oyaji Whitebeard, and Whitebeard went out like a boss. Whitebeard did everything in his power to try to save Ace, and actually did save Ace. Everything Whitebeard endured in Marineford, you cannot overlook it. He was amazing. From when he stepped foot in Marineford, Whitebeard was doing great things, not only as a captain, but also as a leader, and just being the symbol of hope and the linchpin for his crew. When we get down to it, Whitebeard's great feats come from durability and just endurance. Whitebeard was able to take several attacks from several characters, most notably Akainu by having his head blown off, by having his insides blown up, by having his insides even pierced by Akainu, by having his inside pierced by Squard. And through it all, Whitebeard did not fall. So for Whitebeard, that's his greatest feat, just being a tank. Now, the major feat for Whitebeard is taking out Akainu after Akainu killed Ace. But for Whitebeard doing that, that was an enraged attack, and he got Akainu from behind, and Akainu did not die. Of course, he was out of it for a bit, but he came back and was fighting like nothing really happened. Again, the same thing for Blackbeard. It was an enraged attack, and Blackbeard, shook it off, got back up, and attacked Whitebeard. Whitebeard was not 100% at Marineford. Whitebeard was not prime Whitebeard. That is not the world's strongest man that we saw. He got several bullet wounds, several stab wounds, overcame a lot, took a lot of punishment from the admirals, but this man did not fall. So based off that, based off his performance at Marineford, I have to put him slightly above Kaido, Shanks, and even Blackbeard, because this man went out just unbelievably. Not the final character, Big Mom. We're going to see where we place Big Mom. Is she more impressive than Whitebeard? Does she fall in between Shanks, Blackbeard, and Kaido? Because we have seen quite a lot from Big Mom. Now, Big Mom has been disrespected since Whole Cake Island, and because of things that transpired on Whole Cake Island, but I never really saw it the way that most did. For Big Mom, the feats are somewhat endless based on the things we saw on Whole Cake Island, and even a glimpse into her backstory. So let's start there. Big Mom, when she was younger, when she was just a kid, she was able to destroy an entire giant village by herself without a single scratch. Based on how strong she was back then, Mother Carmel even said Big Mom had the potential, just based on what she was back then, without seeing a devil fruit or anything with Big Mom, the God-given potential to be a fleet admiral. That is one of the highest ranks in the Marines, of course, on the level of Sengoku, Akainu, Kong, to that level. That was Big Mom, and that's what Carmel foresaw. Capone said that Big Mom can destroy battleships without any effort. She can wreak havoc on towns. She can single-handedly destroy Whole Cake Island if she wanted to, if she went on a rampage. Katakuri even backed up and said the same thing. Big Mom was walking destruction. And of course, that's her offensive capabilities. That's just physically her offensive capabilities. Now let's get to her devil fruit. Big Mom has the Soul no Mi, and she can put life into non-living things, and she can actually take lifespan away from living things and apply them to her homies. Big Mom can apply fragments of her own soul to other objects to create even special homies in the vein of Zeus, Napoleon, and Prometheus. And with these things, Big Mom can supplement the shortcomings that she has in terms of speed and even offensive attack power. To be frank, there is literally no limit to Big Mom's strength and power based on what we've seen. The feats for Big Mom, like I said, are endless. We can go back to Big Mom and her Elbaz spear, which basically destroyed a mountain across the sea, was super powerful, in which the Straw Hats said they cannot take another attack like that from Big Mom. We can go to a weakened Big Mom, taking every single blow from the Straw Hats, from Jinbei knocking her off the ship, to Nami using Zeus on her. Everything that Big Mom took, there were no scratches on Big Mom. Big Mom was okay. Even while being starving and near death, they could not take out Big Mom. To use Luffy as a barometer, Big Mom casually shook off Gear 4th, and that had no effect on her. And we're not sure exactly what happened here, but Luffy lost all of his energy and strength after attacking Big Mom. We're assuming that's a product of her soul powers as well. We're just going to give that to her. So Big Mom is so impressive, and I'm not sure why she gets all this hate. The most recent thing Big Mom was able to do was to attack Queen and take him out with a single punch. Of course, we're not sure if Queen is actually done, but for Big Mom to be able to do that, and Queen seems to be incredibly large, and Big Mom was able to jump up, one hit, of course, without use of her devil fruit powers, and take Queen out. Now for Big Mom, her feats from endurance to durability to attack power to strength to devil fruit usage, the entirety of Whole Cake Island is basically run on Big Mom's power. Big Mom's usage of this power is unparalleled. She has great use of her soul powers and her soul ability. Big Mom was even thrown into the water and came out of it alive. She didn't die. She just had amnesia. Of course, people are going to say this is an ass pull just for Big Mom to be in Wano and to be in a story without having her memories. However, it happened. She was in the water. She was supposedly supposed to die. She didn't die. She just lost her memories. So how do you kill someone like Big Mom? We know, based on what Capone said and what we saw, the Mother Caramel photo and destroying that was the only way to hurt her, because once her mental state was somewhat frazzled, she was vulnerable, and we saw that her knee got scraped after that picture got destroyed. So now that photo is destroyed, how do you now kill someone like Big Mom? You have to somewhat, I suppose, starve her out and then do it, but to get her there, you have to defeat her. So for Big Mom, I think based on everything we've seen so far, clearly she has been the most impressive Yonko. At this point, Big Mom's major weakness is her sickness, and a lot of people use that sickness against her and said that, in a long fight, Big Mom is probably going to go berserk because she has to eat and she has to maintain her body and sustenance. But for Big Mom, it's funny that people use that against Big Mom, but then for Whitebeard being sick of Marineford, people don't use that against him. They say, well, Whitebeard was sick, that's the only reason why X was able to happen. But for Big Mom's sickness that it's been shown to be, people just say, well, Big Mom's trash because she has that sickness. And it's kind of weird to me how people do that. So when people ask me who the strongest Yonko is, because I get that question a lot, I still have other Yonko above her, but that's not because of anything they've done. It's based on portrayal and what I expect from them. After I see what they can do, Big Mom could still be above them. But of course, in shonen and how these tropes go, the Yonko we see the last should be the strongest Yonko, and we presume it to be Blackbeard by that point. But I think it somewhat speaks volumes about Big Mom's strength that she was able to break out of Whole Cake Island, which was her arc, and now she's in Wano doing great things in Kaido's arc. When Big Mom got to Wano, Kaido was somewhat sweating, not even wanting Big Mom there because he knew, or he knows, what she is capable of. Now, as impressive as Big Mom is not without flaw. Big Mom's family is ruled by fear. So for that leads to a lot of shortcomings and a lot of things being overlooked because they're scared to report these things because they know Big Mom could possibly kill them. The good part about that though is that Big Mom has a lot of people in place that can make up for her deficiencies while she's still childlike, but she is extremely perceptive as she picks up on things, and a lot of people overlook that, how perceptive she really is. Other than the embellishing of Big News Morgans, and Luffy did the same thing in the vein of what the Pirate King Gold Roger was able to do, which was able to slip past Big Mom. No one in the story, based on what we know so far, no one has been able to defeat Big Mom. All the other Yonko so far, we know they've been defeated in some way or some capacity. Everyone who has defeated or gotten an edge on Big Mom, it has been something where they slipped away. It was not a face-to-face fight. It was just something underhanded where they just got to jump on Big Mom. No one has physically been able to overcome Big Mom in all these years. For Shanks, it was Blackbeard. For Blackbeard, it was Magellan, amongst others. For Kaido, it was a list of people that he documented, and he was able to be stopped by Shanks. For Whitebeard, damn, ain't nobody really defeated Whitebeard, but Whitebeard, he was somewhat thwarted by Gold Roger, but of course Whitebeard and his ambitions, that was not to become Pirate King, so that's that caveat in there. So for Big Mom, I think so far, she's the most impressive Yonko. Again, we've seen the most from her. We had an entire arc around Big Mom, and we're going to get more of Kaido and Wano, so then we're going to see these two and match those two up and have that conversation again. But for me, right now, the most impressive Yonko so far has been Big Mom, so please guys, stop the Big Mom hate. This woman is impressive. She's done some great shit. Of course, her family and everything that transpired in Whole Cake, separate topic, separate discussion. For right now, the most impressive Yonko we've seen so far in the story, Charlotte Linlin, Olin, Big Mom, whoever, whatever you want to call her. And yeah, give me your thoughts. Who do you think is the most impressive Yonko we've seen so far? For me, it's Big Mom, no question. But leave your thoughts below. Like the video. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you have not for more content like this. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.